of Vespasian. He's got his own apartment. Do you understand that? In the early days of the Bible, because they know, okay, he's the guy who wrote the Gospels and stuff, and I'm going to show you. He wrote all the Gospels and stuff, because if you read the words of Josephus and read it side by side with the Gospels, it's like, hold on, my man's talking about stuff that's in the Gospel, in the prophecies, in his stuff. He's literally showing you, yo, I wrote the thing. That's his whole signatures over this book of John and book of Mark and book of Matthew. Obviously, there are originals, but I'm saying the way that they've changed it up and he inserted this and these interpolations, it's like, yo, it's like gobbledygook right now. That's why I was speaking to someone earlier. I was saying, listen, the Bible's a confused book. You have to know what you're reading and how you're reading it. You can read it as a historical document. You can read it as a religious document if you're into religion. You can really read it as a solar biological document if you're into solar biology. You can read it as a neuroscience if you're into the pineal gland and the 12 cranial nerves. That's Jesus and the 12 disciples. Like, it depends what angle you're coming from. But if you're just going to sit in church and feel like a man's going to float out the clouds, some dude, some hippie looking dude that's supposed to be on a motorbike in Sons of Anarchy or something, you need to stay off the drugs, pal. You get me? Because that's the biggest conspiracy in the world. And I'm just trying to show you what's real so you could see through it. Let's continue. Y'all dancing with me, yeah? So they destroyed all the literature of the Messianic movement, yeah? The only thing that survived, as we established last week, was the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls is a Gnostic document. It's a number of scrolls that include the Book of Giants, yeah? The Book of Enoch. What else is there? There's a few books, the Nag Hammadi text. There's a few books, that's included in the Dead Sea Scrolls that they don't want you to see. Why? Because it's not Romanized. Everything else that you're reading is Romanized from the Roman times. You understand? Bible, Quran, everything. Why do you think it's in a certain type of language? Hear ye, and all this kind of, what is this? God don't talk like hear ye, hear ye. Imagine you get into heaven and God's like, now hear ye. Hear ye, you have sinned. Like, I'm like, yo, just send me back wherever I'm supposed to go. God don't talk like that. That's just their Roman stuff. When you get to the Dead Sea Scrolls now, you see it's the real truth about the Messiah, Yashu'A, and how he broke away from Jerusalem. Was like, yo, I'm living with you, man. John the Baptist, we spoke about John the Baptist, yeah, I'm living with you, man, out here in this community in Jordan that's called today Qumran, where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yo, let's hide this stuff because the Romans is coming here and these men are burning and smashing everything, so we're gonna hide this, yeah? And 2,000 years later, we got this stuff. Yo, the Dead Sea Scroll, even if it's a pinch of it, go and study it, buy it and put it on your shelf in your house, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and go and research it. You understand? And when I say research, I'm talking about go and look at the different interpretations, what different translations and scholars and stuff say. What are the arguments about it? What do they say, scholars say about it? And go and have a study of it and get yourself a nice, well-written copy and stack it on your shelf, bang. Just like I tell you with the Epic of Gilgamesh and all of that, we're going to get to all of these stuff, to all of these tablets and stuff. But this is where we started, so let me keep going, yeah? They destroyed, because remember the Messianic movement, they have their own literature. These are Israelites. They've got their Torah and their view. Yeah, so the Romans destroyed that and took a copy and took it to their private temple. All the rest of the stuff, 7 candle menorahs, they display that in the Palace of Peace, as they call it in Rome. All their subjects can come and look, this is from the temple in Jerusalem before we licked it down. This is molded into the Arch of Titus, the menorah, all of that. But the Tanakh, no one can see it. They took that to their private palace and had their bureaucracy study it. Remember what we said? When Vespasian and these Flavians came into power, they inherited a massive bureaucracy that was well established with deep roots going way back, way before these men came. There was already the Julio-Claudians, Julius Caesar and them, they was already talking about their gods, and they had a big massive bureaucracy and administration behind that. So these men inherited all of that. So now they brought the Torah and that into that to study. The scholars have gone to work, yeah? And okay, we need to like create our own narrative out of this now that they've lost this, and then leak it back out to them like it's their stuff. So they now fall away from the stuff that they lost, because it's only certain families out here who's going to have this stuff. Like I just said, the Dead Sea Scrolls, yo, let's hide this stuff. There's only a few high families that Yahuwah's protecting that's personally close with the Yahuwah, where you know they got their stuff. But most of the common people, They don't know none the wiser. They making up all type of stuff right now. So if the Romans are creating their own narrative and leaking it out, now you got two new ideologies growing, yeah? Different from this Israelite messianic movement. Remember, that's something in itself. That's a freedom fighter thing, yeah? This now that's growing, you've got what's called rabbinical Judaism that you see today as the Judaism of today. And you've got Christianity, the Catholicism and the offshoots of Christianity that you see in the world today. These two started growing underneath the Flavians. Remember the Flavians, they're already telling you they're gods and they're the son of God. And remember, Vespasian, he's Titus's dad. So he's God the Father, yeah? And Titus is God the Son, yeah? So you see how this carries over? Because when he deified his father, he can't just say, okay, my father's a God. You have to go to the Senate. The Senate is the only people who can say, okay, we agree, my man's a God. Or they can say, no, we don't agree. He ain't no God. And you can't do nothing about it. We're the Senate. Do you understand what I'm saying? So Titus went to the Senate and presented his case and said, yo, my dad licked man down in Judea. Do you remember the Roman Jewish war? Who won the Roman Jewish war? Yo, we went there, we licked down the temple, They agreed, yo, my man is a deus, yeah? So he's God the Father. Now Titus is the emperor, he's God the Son, or the Son of God. Do you understand what I'm saying? This all trickles down into Christianity, into the Jesus that they made you look into. Yo, Jesus, they talking about that Roman stuff. They ain't talking about this messianic movement. And for the record, Yashu'A, he was down with the messianic movement. He used to walk with a sword everywhere he went. Yeah? When the Roman touched him, one of his disciples, banged off the Roman's ear. It's in the Bible. It says Yashu'A picked up the ear and put man's ear back on. Do you understand what I'm saying? But he said he never went nowhere without his sword. Do you understand? Because he knew what time it was. They're in a messianic movement. This character that they've created, this pacifist, that's got nothing to do with Yashu'A other than borrowing parts of, it's like an identity theft. Yo, let's steal this. Yo, we like that name there, you know. Yeah, let's just steal. Let me stick to the notes, innit? Because this is just me going on a rant, yeah? So like I said, the Maccabees, they portray the height of this messianic movement. If you go and read the Maccabees Bible and read about Matthias and his sons, particularly Judas Maccabee, the hammer, who used to hammer down the Romans in the name of Yahuwah, yeah? That's the height of the messianic movement. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then you have other messiahs, yeah? Mithra, which became Mithraism, yeah? Even Cleopatra's son, Cleophas, yeah? He started what's called Catholic, which became Catholic, yeah? And he started that with the worship of the sun and the Sphinx, yeah? That's why they call it Catholic, or the holy cat. So the Sphinx symbol, he used to venerate the Sphinx and worship it. Remember, he's the son of Cleopatra. Part of him is attached to Egyptian culture. Even though he's hybridized it, yo, I'm Egyptian. And for the record, he's the Jesus who traveled into India. As to why you hear people saying, yo, Jesus went to India and Indians have recorded that Jesus came there. Nah, Cleophas went there, Cleopatra's son, and told them ninjas that he's Jesus. That's what he said. He was one of them 30 people that were saying, yo, I'm the long prophesied Messiah, but let's get there anyway, yeah? So a lot of them, not Mithra and Cleophas and them, but the Maccabees and others, those were violent and materialistic militants, yeah? They weren't a pacifist movement, yeah? So in the literary narrative, this Jesus they giving you, that's not in like the historical account. There's no historical confirmation of this pacifist dude walking around the ancient world looking like a hippie, telling people to turn the other cheek and speaking like, yes, where my father lives and we and thou shall not. Oh, wow. Ooh. None of that ever happened, bro. That's Julius Flavius and these man, the Flavian dynasty, rewriting the narrative. Yo, we got to control this thing. We got to create a counter to that messianic thing there, Maccabees and stuff. Yo, we're going to say the Messiah, yeah, is going to be a pacifist. And his name is Jesus the Christ, yeah? And really, they talking about themselves. The Flavian dynasty is the Christ. That's what their chroniclers are writing into this new narrative. So everything they do is portrayed as the Jesus in the Bible. The stuff that they... Oh, let me show you, because I've written it down. I'll just stray off course and talk into other things. Yeah, so this whole messianic movement became the face of the war against Rome. You didn't literally have to be an Israelite to agree with it. Just the fact that these men were standing up against Rome in other parts of the empire, they was identifying with that struggle. Just like in the world today, if something goes on in Palestine or South Africa or wherever else, yeah, we might identify with these people's struggle. We feel some type of way about what's going on. Do you understand?